be at this angle where it's just breasts and then whatever's on like the focus is over there? Like, do we need to do that?
Yeah. The answer is probably not in those cases.
You know? Hi, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Kay.
And we're the Ghouls Next Door.
Ghouls Next Door.
Talking about spooky stuff.
Yeah.
Like puberty.
Bro.
Isn't that spooky?
Puberty is the real horror story. Yeah.
But we are the Ghouls Next Door, a media literacy show from a horror lens where we explore the real life, historical, psychological, body influences behind our cinematic fears. And continuing our like animated series, we are talking about Dandadan.
Mm-hmm.
Dandadan.
Which one is one of the most memorable intros that I've heard in a minute. Like, there's definitely comparable ones. Like, Mashal had a really a banger at the beginning of it, and there's like a handful of other ones. But this one, like, I can still listen to it and just like jam. So yeah, it's just really fun, and it's like definitely made for the show. It wasn't like they just found a song and like put it in there. Like, it's just very fun in that way, and that's kind of like most of the vibe of the show, with exceptions. But most of it's just like a fun, like, what kind of time. Yeah. Aside from the stress.
Fun thing. Dochi does reference Dandadan in one of her songs.
Oh, that's pretty rad.
What song it is right now, but it's
an anime pop culture.
Yeah. And fun ghouls fact for our listeners and viewers. The ghouls met our husbands on the radio talking about top anime intros, and that was many years ago.
It was before Dandadan.
It was before Dandadan. And so I would say, like, it happens every now and again where we watch like a new anime where I'm like, this one definitely would have been
on there. Yeah.
And I'd say like the second season opening is not as much of a banger, but I did find it before I watched the second season. It just like came up and I was like, oh, this sounds like an anime opening. And I was like, it hits. It has like, she tries to do that same like repetition and like punch that the original has. And so it was really, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised when I tuned into season 2 and I was like, oh, this is her.
This is the song. Yeah, I am obsessed with the second season song, so it's funny because it's like not even as an anime intro, just like I just really like the song. It's a really good song. I would listen to it on loop in true autism form. Like at work, I think I listened to it like 17 times in a row just to get through tasks. So yeah, the music in the show, top tier.
Yeah, I honestly just listen to the soundtrack sometimes when I'm like focusing. It is super like a banger. It's also like aesthetically really pleasing. The colors and the animation is really fun. You know, as you said, there's a lot of just absurd, hilarious fun that you can have with it, and then there's some like serious things that can make you really uncomfortable and really like grounds the situation, and you're like, oh right,
oh yeah, this isn't just haha
some heavy stuff, and then it will, you know, try to alleviate some of that tension with the absurd, and you know, try to inspire laughter in the midst of what could have been like in the wrong hands could have been really traumatizing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. I was hesitant to cover Dandadan because it's like has such a
people love.
Yeah, people fight for this, and
some people might get mad at us in the comments. And that's okay.
I mean, that's people are always mad at us in the comments.
That's super fair.
But I was just hesitant because I was like, I don't know. There are things that I think there are viewers out there that will resonate with what we're saying, where some of it was hard, and there's a reason why it's hard. And I'm really glad that we did cover it because it allowed me to not be ignorant and instead really think about it and get my media literacy glasses on and consider the impact and the intention of the work. And remind myself the importance of that. And that sometimes can really change a piece of media. for the better.
Yeah.
That being said, like, you know, super valid to have your feelings and emotions about it. Like any of our pieces that we cover, like we're opinionated. This is opinion piece. We are not the end all be all of literacy and media review.
Yeah, no. Otherwise, we would be famous.
More famous, for sure.
Yeah, at the very least.
But let's hop in because it's been a minute since we've done this, and
we had a lot to say. Yeah,
I got a lot to say. I wrote a lot, so
say your truth.
Preach. So Dandadan it started in 2024 and took the anime world by storm, and like the manga obviously started way before that and is still going and is equally as impactful. It's about when Momo and Okarune's beliefs clash, they're thrown into a world of ghosts, aliens, and awakened powers. The manga artist is Yukinobu Tatsu, and it's produced by Science Saru. So we'll give you a quick recap of what happened in season 1 and 2, because we're going to be covering characters that are featured in both.
But for light spoilers.
Yeah, light spoilers. But it's something that's still fun. Like, it's one of those things, like, if you read the manga, then you watch the anime, like, you're still having fun. Even if you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But Dandadan is a quirky, fun anime that explores heavy societal issues using supernatural horrors that plague a group of high school students. The show follows Momo, a high school girl from a family of spirit mediums, and her classmate Okarune, who's an occult geek. The two of them connect after Momo rescues Okarune from being bullied. However, an argument between them sparks a challenge. While Momo believes in ghosts, but denies the existence of aliens, Okarune believes in aliens and denies the existence of ghosts. So the two dare each other to prove the existence of their niche interest and subsequently leave harrowing events with trauma and supernatural gifts. Yeah. You're one to do. Okarune's dare finds him in an abandoned tunnel rumored to be haunted by a yokai Turbo Granny after being assaulted. There's no other way to say that. Like, she straight out the gate says some stuff to him. He's running for his life and he has to fight to survive. Okarune does end up possessed by her powers and missing his private parts. It's kind of a trend of what's going on. Momo encounters a perverted alien race obsessed with reproducing, a trend of alien folklore, and so obviously represented here. Super traumatic. It's episode 1. It's hard.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I had to take like a 3-month break because Isaiah didn't warn me, and then I watched it and I was like, wow, I'm so triggered. I just maybe need to not do anything for the rest of the day. And I just walked away. So yeah, no, it's not for everybody, the first episode. But you kind of need to see it partially just to get the backstory of how they become friends. I don't know. It's complicated. Yeah,
I will, like, you just got to be prepared. I'd say definitely check out trigger warnings. And it is visually, like, triggering. Like, it's purposeful why they look this way and why it's shot this way to make you afraid. Like, it's not a fun time, you know? And so Momo has to fight back from these aliens who say they want her banana and to procreate with her because their own alien race is dying. And in that fight back, she unlocks her own spiritual powers and saves both herself and the new turbo-grannied Okarune. The first season follows the pair as their friendship and affection for one another grow. It's definitely like a coming of age, like puberty romance in there. A little bit of the shoujo. And they struggle to navigate their new powers, the existence of both ghosts and aliens that are now intent on taking them down, finding Okarune's stolen golden balls, saving aliens from oppressive space capitalism, uncovering the depressing truths behind the specters that haunt them, and survive the ups and downs of high school.
Yep.
You know.
Drama. Teen drama.
Typical teen drama.
Superpowers.
Yeah, it is Degrassi superpowers. Another classmate of theirs ends up possessed by a ghost, the acrobatic Silky, joining the band of misfits, defending their town from ghosts and aliens. And Momo's best friend Gigi joins in the end after confessing that he's been haunted by a sinister force. And that plot is what is explored in season 2. And to help Gigi, Momo and Okarun travel to his home to investigate and keep him company. While the first season leaves us in the middle of the beginning of that, in this really questionable, dramatic cliffhanger with Momo cornered in a natural spring by a group of otherworldly men creatures who are like preying on her, and she's like alone, and they're like, tune in for season 2. I literally was not gonna watch.
Yeah,
it's like I don't think I can watch this anymore. It was a fight, and my husband loves this, so I had to give it a shot. In season 2, we pick up where we left off as Momo is struck with a bit of luck thanks to Turbo Granny, who is now haunting a cat figurine. Yeah, it's fun. And the springs erupt before she can be further assaulted. And we learn of the extensive history of the small town that Gigi lives in. In fear of the volcano that overshadows it, the townsfolk have been sacrificing people to this idea of a god to protect themselves from an eventual eruption. The creepy men creatures are part of a historic family which has been managing these sacrifices, and Gigi's house sits atop the remains of all the homes before his, which all led to the death and sacrifice of everyone who's lived there. That's why he's being haunted. They discover the truth of this volcano god, which is actually a giant worm creature. Gigi befriends an evil entity called the Evil Eye and finds himself also possessed, because we can't just have the normies in here.
No, everyone has to have fun powers.
Yeah, and they switch their control of the body by interacting with either cold or hot water. And we get two new additions to the quirky group, an even nerdier boy, believe it or not, who is obsessed with Gundam. And in the last moments of the season, we meet a strange girl who has been piloting alien technology. So like
her
TBD.
little kaiju costume.
Yeah. Which is honestly really fun. I am interested in reading the manga. It's just I've seen some of the images and I'm like, it was already hard with some of these scenes in the anime, and seeing them drawn that way, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which is why the bulk of what I want to talk about is it fan service or is it social commentary? I think that is the big question that a lot of people have. There has been this call every time there's a new season of this for the show to be pulled or canceled because of its graphic nature and adult themes. And, you know, this cry that like it's fan service, it's unnecessary, yada, yada. And so I'm going to unpack why it's not fan service. So Dandadan has been a hard watch. Not like it's fun, but if you have like it, like sensitivities, beware. And so
like, read the trigger warnings, as you said.
Yeah. And I have like a love-hate relationship with it, and I totally understand both sides of the argument around whether Dandadan's constant use of child near nudity is fan service or commentary. And there's like also this layer of like cultural influences that just like as an American audience we're not always going to understand, because we don't have the same relationship with nudity and bodies and like youth that other cultures have. And so like just as a disclosure there, I don't have that experience. I have not lived there. I don't know that life, you know?
Yeah.
So, but back when we talked about Science Sono's film Tag, we discussed how while the film claimed to be confronting the over-sexualization of young girls, specifically in Japanese culture and media, the film seemed to cause further harm with its use of the very same film tactics. Like it was commenting, but it was also doing those things. And so it was hard to accept that that was commentary and not just like further contribution to somebody's, you know.
And also like the fact that it was like live action versus anime. Like no one's, it's a drawing. No one's getting hurt physically, like in the portrayal necessarily, because it's drawn, where you have like real people having to pretend they're teenagers going through that, which is like, yeah.
Right. Like if someone made Perfect Blue a live action, that'd be a lot harder to handle than like us putting like an animated person who's not real.
Yeah.
They don't have to be traumatized. But what we discuss is that there's just a fine line when commentary equips the same tools to address the issues that they're trying to critique. And Dandadan is not always an easy watch, and I highly recommend checking those content warnings. And while there is constant excessive stripping down of the story's young protagonist, if you're able to stomach the initial uneasiness to grapple with the entire picture, then you might find that creator Tatsu shares our concerns and fears. And that's why this exists. So anime and manga are ripe with fan service. And this is material in anime and manga that is specifically added to satisfy fans. Right? Isn't that they're not plot devices? They don't do anything really beneficial. They are just there for fan service.
Yeah. Or like you see an upskirt shot when it has nothing to do with anything.
Right. Like that didn't need to happen. It doesn't add to the story at all. This is often related to nudity or inappropriate shots of female characters. Like Kay said, upskirt shots. Like that's also, a problem in Japanese culture anyway. But it's something that is an immediate turnoff for me when I'm watching anime, but it's a part of the culture around anime and manga. Like it's just kind of comes with the territory, and especially older manga. Like, even some of my favorite anime feature problematic shots and decisions that sour my feelings toward the overall story, where I'm like, did that have to be like that?
Yeah, like why?
Maybe we could have, like, do you think we need to be at this angle where it's just breasts and then whatever's on, like, the focus is over there? Like, do we need to do that?
Yeah, the answer is probably not in those cases.
And specifically with these, it's like these scenes do nothing for the plot. And while they're inappropriate, they're not treated as such, which is the important part to this, right? When they're not treated as a problem, it reinforces those problematic views of female bodies. It's saying it's okay for us to look at people this way. It's okay for us to objectify them this way. Haha, it's a joke. That's what those women are here for. And so essentially this material is a gag. It's an inside joke between the viewer and creator existing only to titillate. It has no other part to it, right? I think of Fire Force, which is an anime that I personally haven't watched. I don't really have an interest in it specifically because of what I've heard about this. But the show is about firefighters with powers, and it features a female character who, while donning her firefighter's uniform, okay, the fabric that's there to protect your skin from fire, she only wears like the bottom half, and she like ties it and leaves her top torso open with like only a stringy bikini top. It sounds super safe, babe. That itself is annoying. And that always happens. I mean, Nami girl, at least she's on a boat. Clothes. At least she's on a boat.
At least you're on the ocean, where a bikini would be appropriate because you might go in the water. Fair.
Yeah, we had our time skip, and everyone got buff, and she just got bigger tits.
Yep.
You gotta love it. So that itself is annoying. But on top of that, this character is also deemed clumsy and continually finds herself stumbling into intimate and humiliating situations that she blames on her lucky lecturer. And this can lead to her being fully naked. And the point of this is that clearly when this happens, the joke is on her, right? And it's like, what are our plucky heroes supposed to do when the clumsy hot cat girl falls into your lap in a compromising position? Ha ha ha, isn't that funny? Again, I've not watched this. My husband said like there's like an episode, like the first episode or something, and it happened like 3 times, and he was like, all right, I'm turning this off. Like, okay, I can have some grace.
I have watched Fire Force, and it's like it like high key ruins a lot of like the vibe of the show, because the plot itself is like devastating. Like there's a lot of like emotional depth to the actual story, and then they do that, and it's like, why? You're like, it's just like you're creating a barrier for your audience, and you're basically saying like you don't care that it's inappropriate. It's it's because like the plot of Fire Force as a whole, very interesting, but they had to like throw that in there for why. It
really like it detracts from it, and it like I don't even want to suffer through it. Like Versus the case with like Dandadan, like I'm suffering through it because I know there's intention behind it. Versus that is just fan service, right? We're just doing it to be funny, haha. And that's not fun. It just isn't. And especially when the trend is often young girls. Specifically, which is why like that's another layer of like Dandadan using young people as well. So while Dandadan often strips down our heroes to their underwear, sometimes soaking wet and clambering over each other. Or in the case of Okarun, who was naked for like 2 entire episodes once. Uncomfortable. These moments represent more than an inside joke because it is a critique of that very culture and its commentary on our growing bodies. Like just the discomfort with our bodies changing and being perceived, right? In each instance of which I'll admit there are entirely too many of near sexual assault on Momo, we are made aware of this being a villainous act. Like there's no illusion that this is the haha funny moment. Right?
Yeah, there's nothing funny about it.
This is bad. Like the stomach feeling.
You feel so uncomfortable.
Is on purpose. Whereas like Catgirl loses all her clothes, haha. No, there is no sinking feeling.
Yeah. And she's like falling into them and doesn't want to be, you know? So it's like,
Right. In an article on Medium by Charlotte Joan Chang titled How Dandadan Confronts the Elephants in the Room, they explain this idea in depth, defending the story's use of these explicit and uncomfortable moments, saying, while the villains in the series, the Serpos, do come after Momo in their pilot for the procreation purposes, the anime does not romanticize the situation, nor does it tackle it in a comedic manner. Dandadan Episode 1 is very clear that this is an uncomfortable and dangerous moment for this character. It's meant to trigger the audience negatively, not titularly, which is the big difference, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about the context surrounding these moments and the different explorations of sexual attraction, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, Momo and Okarun's affections for each other grow slowly over the series, and it's blossoming in these soft moments with a subtle hand touch or a hand held while turned away, or a lingering hug. Like it's very growing, it's growing affection that's very juvenile, right? A very pure and clumsy thing that we, as once young people, can like be familiar with, right? The only lustful and inappropriate behavior comes from visible and undeniable villains, such as the alien Serpos or the men creatures in the sauna. Like that's the only time we get that, like the perception of their bodies in the wrong way. Like when they're naked and it's them, they're like, they're not afraid just because like, oh no, I'm seeing this girl, she's naked. They're like, oh my God, I'm naked and the school's gonna see me.
Yeah.
Like it's your worst nightmare. You know, as a kid,
like they're not like, oh yay, tits. Like they're like, oh God.
Yeah.
Everyone will know.
It's uncomfortable for everyone, you know? Yeah. And specifically those scenes of assault that leave the characters panicked, manhandled, and near abuse are meant to make you feel uncomfortable, to be angry, afraid, and disgusted, not aroused or something to be laughed at.
Yeah.
And it's not the punchy embarrassment of poor Tamaki's lecturer leaving her naked and in the arms of her coworkers. It's not that. This is the core of why Dandadan, as triggering and upsetting as it can be, is not fan service. Is it still upsetting and uncomfortable? Absolutely. But that's the point entirely. Our growing bodies, puberty, and emotions are upsetting, but so too is the world around us that is intent on objectifying the bodies of young people.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like this idea of like, if you're watching that and anyone's feeling any type of way besides disgusted, you need to look inside yourself. Because you're supposed to be disgusted. Because this, like, we're like, this is a judgment on you. This is actually a judgment on fan service.
It's like that season or when they redid Evangelion because the fans were being so terrible. It's kind of like calling them out in a way, similar to how like the creator was trying to do.
Yeah, like, oh, you see,
different
this
method,
is what you wanted. And look how stupid it is. Look how stupid you look. Yeah, absolutely. Further, unlike most of the fan service that we see, where the main object of sexualization is the female characters, Dandadan puts the male protagonist Okarun in just as many situations as Momo. Like they are equally unclothed, and again, like Okarun was naked. Momo ain't naked. So they actually lose their clothes an equal amount of time. Other anime have also thrived on the idea of girl heroes losing their clothes in their heroic transitions. So I'm looking at you, Kill la Kill. She's like, oh, I'm more powerful at up close. And I get that's also like commentary too. I have not watched Kill la Kill, so do not come at me.
I mean, Sailor Moon does it too in their transformations. Like they're most definitely naked in that like transition.
Yeah, but
animation.
her outfit, she's wearing clothes. Yeah,
that's true.
And Sailor Moon, the creator, specifically made it a point to never have upskirt shots. Yeah. She was never going to do that. Good. So, in defense, but Kill la Kill, she does her little transformation and then she's in like no clothes. And like the more powerful she gets, the less clothes she has. So that's where I'm like, okay. But in Dandadan, it's actually male hero Gigi who ends up nearly naked for his power transformation, which is like funny and also like uncomfortable. But he's just like, you know, a buff sports boy, and he's the one who's like in underwear, you know? And while that's not a fun thing to say in defense of a show that focuses on children, it does purposely even the scoreboard. Yeah. So, like they're not doing that to Momo, which is honestly a nice relief. She's in clothes all the
like
time.
Fully clothed. Yeah.
Like, you know, besides like her hero stuff is clothes.
Yeah. When she's doing badass stuff.
Which brings me to Momo, who is our unlikely hero, specifically in this type of anime. So first of all, Momo is the one who is constantly coming to Okarun's rescue time and time again. Straight from episode 1, she's saving him. And yeah, he runs and gets it. It is always her who's catching them, who's like protecting them. She's brash and loud, but she's also someone who's so full of heart and care. Like, you know, I love a loud protagonist. And she's definitely that, right? She's one who's quick to bicker with her friends and family, but she's also the first to protect them, often putting her own body in harm's way. She is also the only character who has a true innate power. Yeah. All of her friends are possessed by spirits or manipulating alien tech. Her power comes from her spirit medium heritage. It's hers. Like at the end of the day, when they, you know, solve whatever spirit puzzles and they get the balls back and they do all that stuff, she's the only one who will still have those powers. There's also a relatable and charming softness to her when it comes to her blossoming affection of Okarun, reminding the viewer that at the end of the day, she is just a teen girl. Like that second episode is one of my favorite episodes ever when they keep missing each other. And they're like, maybe he doesn't want to talk to me. And she's like, like she doesn't want to talk to me. And it's like they keep like bouncing each other. It's so cute. Yeah. And that's like, this is what this is about. You know, like we just survived and now this is the heart of it, right?
Yeah, also, we're just having teen drama time.
Also, Dandadan is a shonen, right? And this is a type of anime or manga that's aimed at an audience of adolescent boys, right? So to have Momo be just as much the protagonist, if not more so than Okarun, is important here. Most shonen feature boys as our heroes, with the female characters on the side, often used as crushes, or whose powers are likely less than that of our heroes, even after their training arcs, right? Like, sorry, Sakura girl. You tried.
Yeah, you're real smart.
She's smart and she tried, and even still, she didn't compare. But in Dandadan, Momo is the igniting force that for most of the fights and challenges. It's her challenge to Okarun that gets them leveled up to start with. Like, she starts that challenge of, like, you go to the ghost. Right? Yeah. It's her assault of Ira out of jealousy that involves her with them. And Gigi is her childhood friend. And she's going to investigate his ghost because she does that. Right? She's the hero. The aliens are constantly after her. In the very first episode, they dismiss Okarun even in his turbo state because they want Momo's banana specifically. Right? Yeah. It is Momo's home they always return to. Yeah. Dandadan is not a shoujo, which is the anime manga that's aimed at young girls, but it has Momo at the helm, and it has a true, honest representation of burgeoning young love. So perhaps it's something new altogether. Maybe it's a shonen Joe. a shonen Joe. Yeah. Lastly, let's talk about Dandadan's yokai, because that's a part of this. As quirky and charming as Dandadan is on the surface, full of bright colors, relatable young protagonists navigating first love and their growing bodies, wacky alien creatures, and exciting fight sequences, Dandadan has a brilliant knack for knocking its viewers off their feet with unjarring and upsetting backstories that hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're like, ha ha ha, I'm surviving some of this. And then it's like, oh, well, here's something really depressing.
Here's big emotions.
Here's the saddest thing you've ever said, and we're never going to resolve it. I just want you to be sad. And eat that life. Don't you just not get the answers, you know? So between jokes about Okarun's lost balls and miscommunication between teens, we learn about some truly traumatic histories that resulted in the unrested yokai that coexist within our heroes. They have this very beneficially parasitic relationship.
Yeah.
So starting with Turbo Granny, who's one of our first villains in the story, she is based around a Japanese yokai that warns against reckless driving. When you're entering a long tunnel while driving, you may hear an unexpected knock at your window as an elderly, grandmotherly woman runs alongside your speeding vehicle. Just keeping up with it. And while this urban legend does focus on reckless driving, Dandadan's Turbo Granny holds another layer to her lore. So she started as that, but she's also this like isolated yokai, like the abandoned old woman yokai as well. But she's also something entirely different and heartbreaking. So TG, Turbo Granny, held within her the spirits of young girls who had met an untimely and brutal demise. And these girls, forgotten just as TG had been when she was abandoned in the subway tunnels, are cared for within. TG confronts her victims with enticing and graphic invitations to sexual acts. Like, that's the first thing she says to poor Okarun. And when she does that, she becomes the aggressor for an otherwise vulnerable situation. Situations that led to the deaths of these girls. She is a spirit of vengeance focused on destroying the predators before they could cause further harm. So, like, her coming at him like that is because, like, that's what she expects. Like, I, have within me all of this pain of girls who were met with this type of invitation, and treatment. And so when she comes out being like, "You want me to do this?" She's twisting that on them. She's making it a weapon. Yeah. And it just so happens that like Okarun is just a sweet baby boy who's like, "Oh, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't even want to be here." Oh boy. Then we have acrobatic Silky, who connects emotionally and physically with Ira. And she is a Slender Man-esque modern yokai. She's quite recent. Of an unusually tall woman in a red hat and dress who has hollowed out eyes and extensive scarring on her left arm. And her whole thing is like Slender Man-y, where she's like lurking and makes you go crazy. The yokai of lore is named the acrobatic Sarasara, or the Akusara, because Sarasara is the sound of silky hair in the wind. Oh, interesting. Japan likes to do that. There's a lot of like words, things that we know of that are literally onomatopoeias of the Japanese onomatopoeias, right? Like silky hair. I don't know what sound it makes in English. I think it's Sarasara. Tatsu fleshes out this yokai with a heartbreaking backstory. Like, he actually gives her a world. Her red dress of lore is now that of her lost child's. So acrobatic Silky had once been a working woman trying to escape debt while raising her young daughter. Only she never made it out of debt, and instead, after being beaten and having her daughter stolen from her by those shady collectors, she commits suicide. Her only motivation was to find her daughter again, which she believes she found in Ira. So it's like, she's really emotional. She's like one of the more emotional of the beings, and also one of the more confusing, but it makes sense why Ira like connects with her. And
can like, see beautiful spirits, which is interesting too, like when she's a little kid.
Like she has that sensitivity to her. Another cool thing to have. Finally, Gigi's new body tenant is Evil Eye, who is another lost and traumatized soul. After being held captive and sacrificed to the giant worm by the Keto family, that creepy man creatures, Evil Eye watched as generation after generation of children just like him were sacrificed. And driven by vengeance and pain, the boy became Evil Eye, an evil spirit who would curse others into committing suicide. And I do want to shout out thanks to Reddit user Scrotuscus. I hate that that's your name, but thank you for reminding me of the story by Ursula Le Guin, Those Who Walk Away from Omelis. So specifically because Evil Eye, and I'm so certain this is intentional because of the way that this story is created. But Evil Eye
Mhm.
represents Le Guin's Amelis boy, right? So this is the victim in her short story in which she asks readers to envision a joyful, caring town. To make this town believable, Le Guin creates the Amelis boy, a nameless child who, for the sake of the town, takes on all the pain, suffering, and hatred. If you think of like the portrait of Dorian Gray, instead of this one rich man getting to be heated in a stick and wilds at the expense of a painting, it's an entire town gets to be happy-go-lucky while this one boy suffers.
Yeah, I think it's also a Star Trek plot, which probably might be from Ursula.
Oh, for sure.
But that's also an episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, and just like, fun tidbit, Ursula Guin is like one of the founding sci-fi writers. She came before a lot of our favorites and like was very impactful in this idea. And so like, totally underrated. But she like 100%, if it sounds like this, it's from her. But the Amelis boy shoulders this townful worth of hurt so that others may thrive. Just like Evil Eye was one soul tormented and sacrificed for the better good, to appease this volcano god so that it wouldn't erupt. However, Le Guin did not pen a revamped version of the trolley problem, right? This is not asking the reader like to decide whether one life is worth the happiness of all these others. That's not the question, right? When in her story, she asked the reader whether they could imagine like a happy place like this that's just like full of joy and no pain. And when our brains resist such a truth, she creates this boy to place our doubts upon, because we cannot believe in joy without suffering somewhere. Like if there's joy here, somebody's hurting, right? That's just how we perceive reality. So the Keto family could not envision such a world. And so they sacrificed generation after generation innocent people for this idea of the better good. Only they never had to do that. Just like this town didn't have to hurt the Amelis boy. He didn't have to exist if we just accepted that, right? The god they worshipped is nothing but a worm. The volcano, an independent, unfeeling entity that would erupt or not of its own accord. Their happiness need not be contingent on the suffering of others at all. Yet, Evil Eye, like the Amelis boy, was forced to shoulder and absorb immense pain without explanation, transforming him into a demon with a twisted hero complex. If only we could imagine a world of joy without suffering. We didn't have to do all that. This is the theme of my story.
Yeah. And there's also like the idea that like the existence of heaven is that you'd have to accept the that the damned exist.
That there's if you think of a heaven, you have to think of a hell.
Yeah. And that like anyone to go to heaven would be morally corrupt because they're okay with an entire group of people being damned, maybe unjustly. Like they're just assuming justification for it. So yeah, there's like
that's so like that real. Vibe too. I love that you mentioned that, because that's also like the idea, like the question of like if you can actually like believe in God, because it's like that idea, like if you believe in it just for the idea of heaven, then you're not really believing in him. You're believing in the fear of hell. Yeah, which is not the same thing. So, that's so very valid. It's like just be good now. Yeah, just be a decent
and then when we
person.
all return to the soup, we can say hi. Happy, it doesn't have to be heaven. It can just be like we're all a part of each other.
It just exists.
Yeah.
We just be.
I feel like the longer I keep my hair like this, the like less ridiculous it looks, and that could totally be incorrect. But I feel like it's like actually starting to like fit my face, and I find that very funny.
You were meant to be a prepubescent boy.
That's funny as heck. Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about kind of in my section is the horrors of puberty, teen isolation, and peer/self-acceptance. As Gabe started to talk about, it's like the worst part of puberty, and maybe not the worst, but like a big horror story of puberty is that teens have everyone's eyes on them, like all the time. And the fact that a lot of the times the eyes looking at them are either not kind, are predatory, or just like unnecessarily cruel towards like people who like prefrontal cortexes aren't even fully formed. Like let them live. Right. So Dandadan, in its own jarring way, highlights the way puberty is a violent experience. The show doesn't shy away from showing this violence, as we talked about, both to its credit and detriment, both from the over-sexualization of Momo and Ira to the literal, and like also Okarun and Gigi, but the literal theft of Okarun's sexual organs and Gigi's inability to control Evil Eye, making him unsafe and unstable. Dandadan calls out the way society views and attacks teenagers in real life as they are going through like arguably one of the roughest transformations our bodies can go through, like chemically. All while trying to find acceptance both internally and externally amongst their peers. Each experience our characters go through are obviously things they shouldn't have to go through, and some of them are traumatizing and innocence stealing, but they represent the real horrors teens experience in the real world. And as we covered in our Generation series, it's hard to be a teenager, like at any time period. Like it kind of sucks to be a teenager historically. And while in the midst of hormones changing bodies and big feelings, teens also have to deal with the eyes of the world on them, both peer and adult. So like while they can't even find acceptance from their friends, they're also having to deal with like creepy adults or just like adults who are like, the teens are the scourge of it. Let's just burn the bridge and let this generation fail. Because clearly, you know, like all those other films that we've seen where it's like,
Clown in a Cornfield.
Thank you. Clown in a Cornfield. We're like, just get rid of this batch. It's a bad batch. So yeah, people have been treating teens like garbage, like historically. And when we look at the current situation happening in the United States with the Epstein files and Megyn Kelly using her platform to debate whether or not literally whether or not 15-year-olds are children. They are. Period. Yeah, and the fact that Dandadan makes us feel uncomfortable about the over-sexualization of our teen protagonists is a refreshing comparison to like the talking people on the TV who are really not getting it. You know what I mean? Like, and is it still too much? Yeah. Oh, it is still a little too much. It's a lot. I get why, and I accept that. But it also like, did I wish I didn't see some of it? Yes. Yeah. But it does call out the very real reality that teens experience as they grow up. Most people, unfortunately, have a memory in their mind when they realize people treated and looked at them differently while they were still very much children within their early teens. That very uncomfortable feeling of someone's eyes on you that you don't want, or a grown-ass adult talking to you when they should not be. The lens we're viewing through Dandadan is supposed to call out that reality and make you feel uncomfortable. And considering these like horrifying statistics that 1 in 9 girls experience sexual abuse or assault before the age of 18, and that 66% of these instances happen between 12 and 17, is a clear indicator of why this is such a huge issue. When you wonder why this number is so high, you can unfortunately just look at our president and the people he is surrounded by and the large base of people still supporting him and defending him, like Megyn Kelly. Getting rid of billionaires will help solve even more problems than we can think of. Because Jeffrey Epstein would not have existed without all of his wealth and power.
It's insane to me. I see those names, that list of names, and like it's like prince, princess, blah, 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 this person, rich. And I was like, no wonder he was untouchable. Yeah. We need to stop.
No, literally. Yeah, no. And it's like, you get rid of like the corruption of immense amount of money, you will solve a lot of problems. And it's just, it's really, we can all laugh and haha about the Clinton Trump time. Like that is funny, but they're monsters. Right. At the end of the day, there's like literal testimony of what this man has done to like children. 12 to 15 years old. And the fact that it's like not uncommon, like child marriages in America is a shockingly high number. And it's not even considering across the globe. So the fact that people do not consider 15-year-old children is an issue. And that's something that Dandadan is calling out. So we thank Dandadan for that. Additionally, thinking of the ways this took place for each of our characters is really interesting. Like, so I'm specifically going to talk about the way that like they kind of each both align with and defy gender norms, and then how that impacts how society treats them within the show. So Momo, because she can throw hands and is loud, as Gabe said, they love a loud protagonist. She defies traditional views of femininity. She is the opposite of the persona Ira performs in a lot of ways. She is loud, smart, and tough, Bullies know not to mess with her because she can kick their ass, and she's direct and forceful with how she feels, while still maintaining like a level of vulnerability and sensitivity. But this unfortunately makes her vulnerable to the rage and violence from the patriarchy. Her innocence is never assumed. And instead, rumors are spread about her and then they quickly believed. Like when Ira does spread the rumor about her, they're like, yeah, absolutely. I believe she did that. She's trying to corrupt you.
Yeah. And like the first scene we see of her, she's like physically fighting her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like she's like she's physically fighting him and they're calling each other names. Like that's the first thing you see.
In her defiance of like this traditional, like, I must be quiet, timid, haha, femininity, she is like discarded by a lot of her peers. And she is isolated outside of her small friend group and longs for someone who really understands her. So like the connections and friendships that she finds along the way are really meaningful and impactful and really show the strength of community. She is also, unfortunately, the one we see attacked by the aliens most of the time and the awful men. And as Gabe said, they get through it. They kick ass. They get out of it. And through the power of friendship and also her latent or her own abilities, she saves herself. But it's consistent threats to her autonomy. And it's traumatizing. So it seems that the show is trying to tell us that society punishes those who defy gender norms and societal expectations, as well as just how they treat children. Momo's foil, Ira, performs femininity in a way society expects in the first half of season 1. Like, obviously, we see her grow, which I love that for her.
And apparently she continues to grow even more in the manga, which is why I want to read it.
Yeah. No, genuinely. Because, like, she was... I'll get to that, like, a little bit later, but she was hard to like for me initially. And I actually had to, like, question within myself, I need to like maybe heal something in myself to understand her more. But Ira's popularity is directly tied to the way she performs this femininity. She must always maintain this innocent, like ditzy girly girl facade and plays upon the fact that this will get her the attention of the people around her, as well as like the protection and trust of people around her. She knows it will allow others around her to defend her because they perceive her as weak and defenseless, showcasing how society views femininity. Additionally, she knows that in performing all the time, no one will ever truly get to know her or like her for who she actually is. And that's why we're so glad that she gets to like grow, you know, because she's really like performing all the time. And then you get to see like, this is exhausting. Yeah. And that's when I started to like her more, like when she stopped like masking so hard.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, at least, like this is fueled by a deep insecurity. And that's what fuels her manipulation of others and her own image. Like her character is interesting because at first, as I said, I did not like the fact she was manipulative. I did not like her and how she acted. But the performance was a call out to the fact that women aren't expected to be crude or rough around the edges, and that society wants them to be defenseless little lambs with their innocence in need of protection. Her friends get up in arms because she was found without clothes in the hallway with Momo and Okarun, and it's immediately assumed that she could never have done that herself. You know, it's had to be that Momo corrupted Ira's innocence. And if innocence must be protected, then inversely, perceived depravity and the girl like Momo must be destroyed. Like, and that's how they're acting. Like they're trying to like mob. Yeah. What is it? Not mob. Like, you know, when they like you join together with pitchforks.
Yeah, it's like a mob.
Mob mentality. Yeah. So they really like try to like attack Momo, and then Ira's like, wait a minute. Is what I'm doing bad?
Am I the drama?
Yeah,
every episode. Am I the drama?
Yeah. Girl, yes. Yeah, so stop, please. But when looking at the other characters, like as Gabe was saying, like Okarun and Gigi also see their fair share of trauma. Okarun and Gigi are foils of each other in a way as well. In that the beginning of the show, Okarun is heavily bullied and soft-spoken. He's not acting how society would classify necessarily masculine. He's a lovable nerd, and he isn't accepted by his peers for that reason, and like dislikes himself. Even in his friendship with Momo, he doesn't at any point like sexualize her or treat her like an object, which is like such a positive for him. But to his peers, they're like, why is he like this?
Yeah, there's like constant like where like I remember the guys were like, oh yeah, she's hot, and he's like, Momo's cute, and he like has a whole moment that every time he's like confronted, he's like, his fear is that she doesn't want to be his friend. Like he just wants a friend. Like he's such a sweet little boy.
He just wants a friend, bro. So just by existing, true to himself, he defies the traditional masculine persona that many men try to embody. And then, like, immediately as we're shown him in his innocence, his literal sexual organs are taken from him because it's like, you don't got balls. You know what I mean? Like, that's what the patriarchy is saying to him.
Right.
So literally putting his puberty's experience on display in such a vulnerable way. And the only way he can get them back is by like training and getting stronger and with Momo's help. So through friendship and building connections, like with others, he is able to accept himself. And that's what really gives him strength more than the working out, in my opinion, is that like
it does.
He has like these like really sweet moments with the people that he cares about, like especially like his friendship with Gigi I really enjoyed, because like at first he's like, oh, this is a threat. But then he's like, no, actually, I want Gigi to be my friend too. I really want more friends. Friends are so great.
Yeah. Well,
so
I would also say
this really
like Okarun's relationship with Evil Eye too. Like that is such a twist as well, that like he uses brains and like and hearing out and meeting Evil Eye on that level where like Gigi was the only one who had compassion for Evil Eye. And then it's like, surprise, Okarun also does, was like such a nice like breath of fresh air, but it also showed his strength. And I agree, like he works out and does like his power up for like 5 minutes, and then the rest of his growth is like him using his brain,
like personal,
or relying on his friends.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's like you see this friendship building, and like that's really what's giving him strength. And you know, he is finally able to get at least part of his parts back, which is very exciting. And his friendship with Gigi specifically, like I really love that moment, as Gabe was saying, like when they really like, it's through fighting, which is funny, but like they really see each other, and he's like,
they're
you know,
boys.
He starts, compassion. Like it's really just a fight for autonomy, and like it just shows how kind of a person he is. So, and then Gigi is also really interesting to me because similarly to Ira, he performs masculinity really well. Like he's a big sports boy. He was bold, strong, and goofy, distracting from his like sensitive, soft side, because he's actually like so compassionate.
Sweet.
He's like underneath the jokes, he is deeply sweet, emotional, and empathetic. And in the introduction of Evil Eye, we really see that Gigi just wants to help someone whose innocence and autonomy was stolen and give them a chance to live and have fun. So something everyone deserves. However, Evil Eye comes with a cost, and that is part of Gigi's autonomy. So essentially the hot, cold water thing is like, I was thinking of like in puberty where you have like such intense emotions that like you can't really, you need to learn emotional regulation and like control and like find outlets. And I thought like, if we look at Evil Eye as a manifestation of intense emotions like rage, we can say how that reflects most of like the toxic part of toxic masculinity, and how like men are expected to be violent. But in this way, only Gigi can understand Evil Eye, because Evil Eye is actually very innocent, and his violence is wrong, but it's misunderstood. You know what I mean? Like he just wants to play. He just wants to fight real hard and like have fun like a kid. And then once they both understand like that's what it is, he's just too powerful to manage and control that energy. So they give him an outlet. And I just think that was like really cool as like the inverse of like hyper masculinity. Is like they really got to show like how to control that power while remaining innocent, and then also like having like emotional regulation in there. So if we taught young boys how to process and channel their emotions into healthier activities, the world might be a kinder, more empathetic place. Like, let boys be soft. It'd be rad. What I hope is the takeaway from this is that we should be nicer to teens in the world, just in general. We should allow them to figure out who they are. They're just floundering and trying to figure out what they like, who they are as a person, who they want to be, and how to relate to each other. On top of dealing with the hormones, not having their prefrontal cortex is fully developed, in need of that like growth through community. They need that time to grow and learn, and should be given grace where possible and within reason. Like obviously if they're actively harming people, consequences exist. But
intervene.
Obviously. But as long as they're not causing harm to others, like let them be themselves. If they want to be a little weirdo, let them. If they don't want to present and perform gender in the way that society expects, or they love whoever they love, or they're just like they really like space and they want to find aliens, like let them do that. Let someone be a little dinosaur in the yard. Why do you got to ruin that for their childhood for them? And additionally, if you're a whole adult, you should be nowhere near anyone under 18 romantically. You should not look at them gross. If anyone who thinks differently, you're outing yourself. If you're watching Dandadan and you were like, ooh,
yeah, you're a problem. You were arrested.
Yeah, literally.
Straight to jail.
Stop being gross. Stop being gross. The last thing I'll talk about is the power of friendship and community, and like how unique Dandadan's like approach to this was, because it's like you have two characters who have like these special interests who are like opposite special interests. Kind of like they're like similar vibe, but like they have very conflicting views. One, as you said, Gabe, at the beginning, like one thinks aliens is real and the other thinks they're not. Ghosts are real, ghosts not. So the show really shows the power of finding a friend and community, but also like the vulnerability of like being wrong and like growing together within that, and like just realizing you have so much more to learn as a human person. And the bond that Okarun and Momo develop is just really sweet and relatable in being misunderstood. Like, it just really shows like the power of finding someone who will look at you and all your flaws and be like, let's hold hands and get through the hard things together.
Yeah.
So Dandadan shows the power of friendship. And when you have pieces of yourself that you're insecure about or interests that you could yap about for hours, but other people were like, that's annoying. It's really healing to find a person who will look at you and like want to hear about that kind of stuff. Who wants to hear about aliens and spirits, and who also will be like, oh, I'm wrong. Okay, let's learn about life together then, because clearly we know nothing. So it was just like a really nice like lesson to see like these teens, because I remember like when I was a teenager, like no one knew anything, so it was like a lot easier to admit like you didn't know stuff. But like as an adult, I feel like it's a lesson for the adults who are watching this too, where it's like sometimes you don't know everything, bro. It's okay.
You don't.
Yeah,
the truth is you don't know everything.
Yeah, you're like more likely to not know something than you are to know it, and we all need to like talk to each other and learn as much as possible. But if you assume you know everything about one thing, you probably don't know everything about it, and you need to accept that. Don't be like gatekeepy and weird. So additionally, in this like conflict, I think of like my own like teenage self and like my brother, who's 17 and very much thinks he knows everything.
Right.
So it's just like, I think it's just like really powerful to see this like coming of age tale where the lesson is there for both of us. And a lot of this drama and loneliness is not exclusive to the teenage years. In fact, our current times, isolation, depression, stressy depressy is out here. And the fear in general is just like a numbing constant. So seeing these kids find each other and grow their community in the midst of horrors unending feels like refreshing, because we're in horrors unending.
Relate. Hashtag.
And it's what we like kind of need right now. Like the absurdity of the show in some ways is a nice escape, and then also like the realness of the show is filled with like lessons and also like things we as a society, clearly based on the current political times, need to be better about. So it's a refreshing show, even though it's kind of traumatizing at times. And I enjoyed it.
That's what I mean. Like, again, I totally understand anyone who's like, no, it's a hard no for me because that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I will, like, I just argue at the other side is that it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you think about these things. And that is refreshing, because it's not often that we get that. And again, we have like these heroes that are just not what we're used to seeing. It is really creative with its powers and the people. It's got the hottest granny that ever was. Like,
It's true. Yeah. And it's something that's nice about it is that because it's so uncomfortable, is that like it is one of the lessons that I think is a takeaway of it, is that we're supposed to be uncomfortable sometimes,
right,
to grow. And if it's not for you, obviously that's totally fine. It wasn't for me after seeing the first episode for at least like a month.
Yeah.
And then I came back to it with like, I just skipped the first episode so I didn't have to experience again, and just went on. And it was a lot better of an experience. But you have to feel uncomfortable sometimes. Like, it just is a part of growth. Like, you're not going to grow doing the same thing every single day and never feeling anything. If anything, going back to the whole heaven cannot exist, an ethical heaven cannot exist if we are accepting that people will be damned. Similarly, if you live your whole life in a bubble, you're not going to care about and have empathy for others who need your empathy and care as horrors persist.
Right.
They're like, good people need to, or people who will fight for others need to exist, especially in these times. So
right, like you can believe in the truth that joy can exist in the world without suffering on the other side. We just have to believe in that and be nicer to each other, give each other grace, as we continue to grow. Like you never stop growing, you never stop learning, and just like take care of yourself. You know, you don't just because it's like a trending thing. You absolutely do not have to live this. Even if after you hear us, you're like, still no. I get it.
That's fine.
Like they're like genuinely like I saw like in an article someone had a shot from the manga of Okarun and Momo when they're like wet and like on top of each other and drawn. It was so much worse. Where I was like, ugh. I was like, but with the manga at least you could just kind of go. You could go really fast. You could be like, nope. Censor. Yeah. You can, hide it from yourself. But yeah, I will say, I love Momo. Like I love a lot of people, but my favorite character is Gigi. I love him.
Yeah.
He's such a little weirdo. Okay. Yeah. Everybody's weird, but he is the weird. I love the way he says stuff. It's so silly.
Yeah.
But I think like the best part really is just like this quirky little romance between these kids who are like figuring each other out, and they're so awkward. And they're just
I love it.
Like, oh, they're holding hands.
I remember watching some of their cute little like hand touch. I was like, Isaiah, I love. I just love like the innocence of this. Like it's just so sweet to like see people not be like sex, you know, just be like, because it's gross and it stresses me out. And I actually thought it was very sweet to have them just be like nice to each other and be like, oh, our hands touch. That's really emotional.
Well, even like, I'm thinking of like when Okarun is turbo grannied, it's like his voice gets deeper, and that's also kind of funny because there's a time where he's like, here, I'll help you or whatever, and she's like, stop talking to me like that. She's like, stop using that voice. What are you doing? Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
So that's
your name is not Ken, talker or whatever.
Yeah. And so like that's funny, but it's also like representative of like your voice like dropping.
Yeah.
But then
puberty.
Also like his like emotions when he gets like really depressed. He's like, this is such a drag. Like, that's also puberty,
Shikamaru,
like the big spikes of energy that like lead to a crash out. Like
I'm just an awkward guy. Yeah.
And she's like, I get it. I feel that too. Like, shut up. No.
Yeah.
So I do recommend it. And I also think like take your time, know your limits, maybe fast forward, or there's probably a list somewhere that's like, don't watch this part.
Yeah.
And you can still get a decent amount of the story and it's charming. Or you just listen to stuff like this, watch clips online.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let us know what your favorite teen animes are, your favorite heroes and superpowers, and I don't know, you might be a fan of fan service.
Explain Kill la Kill to us. I don't get it.
Listen, no, I've like watched videos about Kill la Kill a little bit, and there's a lot of defense for it, and I get like I hear you. Also, I just haven't gotten.
There's like a fashion thing with it. Isaiah's tried to explain it to me once before, and I'm like, I couldn't watch it.
Sailor Moon's got a lot of fashion inspo. Sailor Moon. No, Sailor Moon's so rad.
Even Momo's fashion as heck. I'll say that's it too.
She's so cute.
She has. They changed their outfits, which is very nice and refreshing, kind of in anime in general. Because like you think of like cartoons, like they wear the same outfit all the time.
Yeah,
I like it when someone changes their fit. I think that's fun.
Yeah, and I just like that. Like, some of the villains are villains, and then some of them are like, oh, we've learned about them. And, we can have compassion. We can grow just as people, too. It's super rad. So let us know what you think. Remember to like and subscribe, comment, share, all that stuff to support us. And
tell us if you like our hair.
Tell us if you like our hair. We'll get you at the end of the year with our last of this animated series. So don't get married.
Delete your kids. Or hopefully your kids are okay. And
hopefully they get to keep their balls.
Awful puberty. Yeah, just let them go through puberty in peace. Yeah.
Don't do that.
I feel like that goes without saying. Yeah.
It goes without saying for sure. Okay, bye.
Yeah.